Welcome back to the channel. I'm with a returning guest, Pascal.
Hello, hello.
It's like 30 degrees here. It's actually hot. You've been playing a pretty aggressive fairy deck, so I wanted to show it off in the profile so hopefully viewers at home can check it out. Before we get into it, you want to tell me how much your deck probably is worth?
Like $40.
Like 40 bucks?
Give or take $40.
Oh, yeah. Maybe $41 maybe actually.
40, yeah, 41 or 42. But it's very different to standard fairies, and I've had some pretty good success with it recently. There were like 6 of Fraser Smith's tournaments in a row that I got either first or second with. And at our smaller locals in Vancouver that has like 24 players on average, I managed to go undefeated 3 times in a row. So
not bad. Not bad.
It's been performing well, and it's a lot of fun.
Have we played?
We have played.
Not
at a tournament.
Yeah,
but
no, tournament.
For fun.
Yeah, no, we never play for fun actually.
Yeah.
All right, let's check it out.
First card we're going to start with here is going to be 3 copies of Archlord Christia. It's really the focus behind the deck. Obviously, it's an extender, not a normal summon, and this just wins you the game against tons of matchups. And like any other fairy deck, the Christia is pretty much infinitely recyclable. If they mirror force you, it and the fairy you add back are 4 fairies because it goes straight back to the top of your deck. If they like deprison you, you can crash your Alchemist, add back the banished Christia, and just drop again with 4 fairies. Soul Purity and Light. So this is one of the different things about the deck. It plays more like old school Chaos with tons of extenders, and it tries to cut down on the normal summons. So Soul Purity and Light banishes 2 lights to special summon it. It's a level 6, it's a light, it's a fairy, and makes your Christie alive if you mill it. 2k as a beater is really good in the format. Crashes with Sirocco, gets over like Bora, gets over a bunch of different things. Very strong card, and it also minuses your opponent's monsters by 300 when they attack, which comes into play surprisingly often. And again, it's an extender, so anything you mill you can banish with this, reset your fairy count, and it'll be a live grab back off Alk. Then we got 2 Sky Scourge Enrise. So Enrise is shitty budget Chaos Sorcerer. He has banished 3 Light Fairies and 1 Dark Fiend to special summon him. And then he's 24/15, and he's just Chaos Sorcerer. Once per turn, target a card on the field, face up card, and banish it. It's actually really nice, though, that he is a Light Fairy. He works with Honest. You can grab him back off of Christia, and sometimes if you drop a Christia and you have that Fiend in the graveyard, just like saying you have to deal with my Christia, and when you deal with it, I've got a Chaos Sorcerer next turn, is very strong. And now to the Classic Fairy engine. We're going to play 3 copies of Dimensional Alchemist. This is the heart and soul of the deck. Anything you banish with your extenders is live because of this. So literally like any card you mill, you can just add back off your Alchemist, which is fantastic. And it's one of the best cards in the format. Ties with Stratos, ties with Gearframe, ties with Shura. And if you crash, you just +1. Amazing card. And standard back row does not remove this very well. 3 Nova Summoner. So this build does not play 3 Angel like standard fairies does. The Nova Summoner in this deck, because I'm not playing DD Warrior Lady and I'm not playing Raikou. Or sorry, I am playing Raikou, but you don't want to float into Raikou. If you don't have DD Warrior Lady, this is just a better Shining Angel, because it can float in defense, which is really useful against aggro decks. And sometimes just summoning like an Honest in defense with a 19 booty is huge.
I also think too with these kind of cards, I've noticed when we're playing, if I attack into it, you're getting exactly what you want. If I don't attack into it, it's a better option to make your like fairy counts off and stuff like that, but I can't get through them because you just float into so many cards. They're all defense positions. Really, really annoying actually.
Very difficult to deal with. And then 1 Angel. I'm just playing this so that if I open Christia and they don't have like a board established and they summon a guy, you just crash 4 times, bring out like an Alchemist, and then drop Christia on them. 2 Honest. Best card in the game. So many times I will just like summon a Lila, have the Honest in hand. They try and clear your Lila, you damage step Honest them. Then they have to set back row into the Lila, or they just choose not to set anything. It's like half their life gone in 1 turn. It's amazing. And recyclable, just fantastic. A lot of times too, I will like banish an Honest from the grave with a Soul Purity and Light, and then normal summon an Alk, and crash the Alchemist, add back the Honest, and be able to attack for game. Because this deck will get your opponent low very fast. And then this is one of the only decks in the game that can play a hand trap in this format. Herald is amazing. Works during the damage step, just discard it in another fairy, and negate any monster effect. So many times you'll summon like a Lilo or set a Raikou, they attack it, you mill 2 fairies, you use a Herald, and Christie is live like second turn, and they're just dead. And then the next engine here, this is based off the Chaos Dragons from like March and September 2012. It's a Lightsworn package that the deck plays, literally just to facilitate mills. So you play 1 Jane, you play 3 Lila. Lila is amazing, baits out all the powerful back row. If they bottomless you, you can add it back off Elk. And also, if you have a live Christia, you just summon this. If they bottomless TT anything like that, like baits out all their good back row, and if they do it, your fairy count stays the same. So unbelievably good card. And then we play 3 copies of Raikou. Raikou deals with problem cards, deals with floodgates, deals with spells and traps, and it mills, which is amazing. Also, something very cool about this deck is the fact that you have Herald gives you a chance if you open like a Raikou to literally flip who's going first. If they set like a Raikou or Hamster, and you set your Raikou, and they try and flip and pop you, and you Herald them, you've just flipped it, so you've got the established set Raikou, and they can't just like play more passive and set things against you. Then for the Dark Fiends, or just Darks, the 1 Gores is a hand trap, very strong. Chaos Sorcerer, very easy to make live. Trag is like the best card in the deck because you play such level variation, and you almost always have a fat hand. You can also use it to make Dark End Dragon with Chaos Sorcerer. That's one of the things. Herald's a tuner. I use Herald as a tuner often more than I use it in hand. But this is amazing. You play like 4 level 6s, you play a bunch of 8s, you can steal have 0s, steal Armor Master, steal everything. Then we play 2 copies of Kai's the Shadow Monarch. Very good spot removal, and it also allows you to proactively get that 4th Fairy engraved, which is amazing. Finally, the last Dark Fiend we're playing is 2 copies of Battle Fader. Battle Fader just protects you if you open somewhat bricky, or the fact that this deck doesn't play like that much defense other than your hand traps, like your Honest and stuff. It plays no traps aside from Treacherous. This just keeps you safe and allows your opponent to overextend, make a big board. You just drop a Fader and then you remove their board with like your End Rises, your Swords, your Kaises, etc. And yeah, good mill for enemies. Then we're playing for the Lightsworn package, 1 charge, 3 copies of Solar Recharge. This package just helps you get your grave full without a normal summon, which is what gives this deck like the speed that the other fairy decks don't have. And yeah, recharge, if you open like 2 recharge or 1 recharge, you can sometimes even get to a first turn Christia with it. It's absolutely nuts. And then 1 storm, and that's actually it for the spells. I'm only playing 5. I want my Elk to be live blind as much as possible, and I want all my mills to be good. So it's just this package, no brain control, no nothing like that. And the only singular trap we were playing is 1 Treacherous. It's super chainable, it resolves problem cards. Like, this deck has trouble with Fortress, simply because all your removal is monsters that target. So either you have to like crash Christia and stack it on top, or Fortress is just a pain to deal with, and this deals with that, and it also deals with it on like setting a Raikou or something like that. And there's some really cool things you can do with it, like Chainlink 1, you just summon an Elk, banish something, set the Treacherous, and then you can Treacherous on their turn before they draw, so they don't get a flip, nil, tribute, do whatever, and you just get the 1-for-1 for the Alchemist. So, very nice. So that is it for the main deck. Side deck first. So we've got Cold Wave. This is for any back row decks. You're playing literally like 5 or 6 spells, and this just means they can't do anything for 2 turns. It's really, really good. The 1 Space Typhoon I don't main, again, back row heavy decks, people that are signing floodgates in against you. 2 Soul Takers. This helps with the Dragon matchup. When they Baki Mero Drago you, it removes Vanity's Fiend, removes Fortress, and it makes Duelist timing, which is really nice. Also good in the Fairy Mirror. Then I play 2 Decree. Decree plus Christia against most of the back row decks. Just instant game over. This is like the best card on the side if you're allowed to play 3. Then I'm also playing a copy of Needle Sealing. It's actually 2 in the build that I'm playing online, but I have a Needle Sealing and a TT here. So what the Needle Sealing and Torrential do, really good against Hero Frogs, because they just establish their do block, and when they do anything, you chain the Needle Sealing, make them all miss timing, and it doesn't kill whatever floater or Raikou you set. And against Dragon Turbo, if they just establish a first turn board like triple or RMD in a Draco or something, or if they do it on your turn, you can just proactively use this. And then for the sided monsters, Crows, 2 Crows, very good card. It's a dark, interrupts like Light Swarms, Frogs, a bunch of different decks. I love the Crow. 2 Cyber Dragons. Cyber Dragon is very nice against Mechana, but it's also what I side in against any Hamster Raikou Kai's deck going second, because if they set a Raikou, you can just swing with your Cyber Dragon, trade with the Raikou, and then you have your normal summon to like set a Recruiter or set a Raikou of your own safely without worrying that it's going to get removed. And then 2 Gerald of Purple Light. This card's really good. I put it in to help against DDD, but in any trap matchup, especially like Hero Frogs or Blackwings, if you use this on an Icarus, if you use this on a deck dev, if you use this on like a Regeki break, it's a 1-for-1, and it can be like completely momentum changing. So very, very good card. You can add it back off of your Christia when you special summon it, and it's also a fairy, so it gets your fairy count going. And the last card I play is 1 Aaron. I side this in normally against decks that will deck dev me for a Raikou, especially when you're on second. And then it's also good against like randomly X Sabers. It's good against the Fairy Mirror match. It's great against Amaryllis. It's a fantastic card. And finally, for the extra, I'm missing a Tempest Magician. I would probably replace either the Light End Dragon or the Red Dragon Archfiend with that. I got this Forge token, the Brad got me, 6 token. 2 Chimera Tech, just because I said Machines is a really hard matchup, and you can recycle the Cyber Dragons. You banish it with Soul Purity and Light, they kill your Alchemist, you got it back. And then we've also got Stardust Dragon for the 8, Colossal Fighter, Thought Ruler, Red Dragon Archfiend, Light End Dragon. I've never made this. It's a pretty weird card, but this deck has extra deck space to spare. Avenging Knight Parshath, that I make all the time. And honestly, you go into your 8s a lot, because Soul Purity and Light plus Herald is a proactive way to get 2 fairies in grave, especially if you have like Lightsworn's milled from Solar Recharge. So you can banish the Lightsworns and not modulate your fairy count, and then make like Stardust plus Christia, which is really strong. Then for 7s, there's an Ancient Sacred Wyvern and a Black Rose. You literally make these with Cyber Dragon. This card comes up in clutch so many times, because especially if you like milled your Heavy Storm and people think they're safe, they just set a bunch of back row, you just Cyber Dragon, summon the Herald, and Black Rose. And then for 6s, Brionek, Goyo Guardian, the 1/5 is a Capacitor. I don't think I ever made Capacitor, but it's just in there to be in there. And then Armory Arm.
Alright, as always with my profiles, I like to ask the Duelist some questions so that you guys at home, if you want to try it, you have a better understanding instead of just picking it up and going to a tournament, getting bonked, and not knowing what the heck's going on. So first of all, I would just say, why should people play this fairy deck over other decks?
It's just ridiculously fun. Like, if you enjoy old-style Chaos decks where you just have a million extenders, and you can just, like, make massive power pushes, like Tribute Summoning Caius and then dropping a Christie or something like that, then you'll really, really enjoy the deck. It feels kind of like playing Light Swarms, but actually with way more extenders in it. And it's just very fun, and there's like a lot of different things you can do, and like how you banish your cards and set up your grave is very effective. So there's also a lot of variance and skill involved in the deck, which makes it very fun.
Alright, so if people are going to play the deck, what would you say is the biggest tip they need to know when playing this deck?
So one thing I've seen, noticing other people try the deck, is first off, they play the Alchemist wrong a lot of the time. With this deck, you want to wait until you've milled a few cards, and then banish them with one of your extenders to use your Alchemist, so you're getting really good value off of it. I see a lot of people where the opponent will set a card, and they'll just summon a Raikou, or sorry, they'll summon their Alchemist, banish a card, and swing into the Raikou, and then Raikou makes them miss timing, and you lose one of the best cards in the deck for absolutely nothing. If your opponent's got like a set Raikou or set something like that, just summon a Lila, mill your cards, and pass the turn. That's like a 1-for-1 that you don't mind taking. Also, in general, with the deck, play aggressive. Like, if you have a way to drop your Christia, drop it. Unless they have specifically Judgment or Oppression, you are getting a card back, you're getting a +1 off that Christia, and you are getting your Christia in a loop where you can just summon it again if they kill it. And the thing with the deck is, like, if you get a turn where you, like, Brio Christia, and you punch them for, like, 6k damage, you're playing double searchable, reusable Honest. So if you get your opponent low, like, life is a very big resource, you can kill them super easily. Like, you do, like, a Brio Christia thing, and then summon an Elk, banish an Honest off of Soul Purity and Light, they're dead. Like, you want to push for damage, and you want to get that Christie alive as quickly as possible. And that's the advantage of this deck compared to the other fairy deck. You can get fairies in grave on your own terms, instead of like waiting for your opponent to do things, or like desperately crashing a recruiter into them to try and get your fairy count before.
Alright, I guess, well then, you make the deck seem like it's completely broken, but what would you say is your worst matchup?
Worst matchups, 2 that I've mentioned. 1, I figured out how to play, it was Gladiator Beast, because they can just cycle Chariot. In a few tournaments now, I've just specialed Christie in defense. You can just leave it in defense, and like, Cold Wave really helps that matchup as well. You just put Christie in defense, they cannot run over it. You don't attack into a Deep Prison, you don't attack into like a Shrink. You're just sitting on a Christia, and then you can 1-for-1 with their guys. And then the worst matchup by far is Machina, because this deck plays no non-targeting like trap removal, and no non-targeting monster removal. So if you Caius it, if you N-Rise it, you're losing a card out of your hand. If you summon Christia and crash it, the only way your Christia doesn't die is if you have a Herald and use the Herald. So that is definitely the hardest matchup. And that deck can also just like hit you very quickly with pace. So definitely the worst matchup.
All right, well, thanks for coming on the channel. I appreciate the profile. It's obviously pretty cool, and you know, I got smacked around by this fairies a bit, so I'm a believer, definitely. So I guess just play it yourself, and you'll see.
Give it a try, yeah.
Peace.
Peace.